Hello, this is Fabian Bergfeld. I'm the Managing Director of W12 at TCS Interactive Design Studio. Thank you very much for your time today to listen to my talk about making meaning of 5G. I think this is a very important topic for a number of reasons. First and foremost, 5G is an emerging new technology that's going to unlock new experiences. What I'm hoping to do with this talk is provide some insights in what makes this technology unique, what kind of opportunities might evolve from it, and how you could approach it to make sure that you're ready for 5G. So let me start off by talking a little bit about W12 Studios. W12 Studios is a digital design agency headquartered in London. We are part of TCS Interactive, which gives us a global reach to clients to work anywhere in the world. As a design agency, we focus on creating iconic experiences for leading brands. We like to think that iconic experiences are key to ensure that you are able to create a differentiated offer in the marketplace and build relationships with your customers. In the digital design space, for a very long time, we have aimed to create simple and usable experiences that are able to reach customers worldwide. I think now, with an increased visibility, it is important to go beyond simple and usable experiences and create something that's iconic and unique to your brand so you can stand out and build those relationships with the customers. And I think that is very important to set the stage to understand what the potential of 5G is. Because 5G is a technology that connects everything and everyone. And I think we just sort of really need to contextualize what that means. 5G builds on top or is part of the evolution of mobile technology, 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G. These were all steps in the evolution that improved connectivity, enabled new experiences. But I think if we go back in time and understand what are the different elements that happened during the evolution, I think when we go sort of from 3G to 4G, I think connectivity has been improved to the point that we were able to have great experiences delivered to us. But everything and everyone, it unlocks new experiences. But let's see first and foremost, what are sort of some of the elements that drive the technology? What is 5G from a sort of high-level technology? That means a lot of data can essentially reach anybody very quickly. It is defined by zero latency, which means any bits of data that are up or downloaded have no delay. This is particularly important in any kind of live experiences, whether it's in gaming, whether it's in watching sports on TV, or whether it's with data training. The fact that you have zero latency is probably one of the key differentiator of 5G, that there is no risk of delay. It means high capacity. So this is not limited on your connectivity at one particular point in time. This means it can have multiple users in one particular location at the same time. So what it does all around, it enables experiences that audiences have been waiting for. And I think this is also important to keep in mind. 5G is not a revolution that's going to bring some experiences to the audience that they have never really seen beforehand. These are experiences that are actually a logical extension and a continuation of the kind of things that many of the customers are increasingly expecting technology can do from them. So more specifically, what it really means is that they expect seamless experiences. So whether it's when they go from one environment to another, i.e. when it's out of device to another, whether it's from a TV to a mobile device, or whether they're going to switch from your personal device to a shared device. They expect that there is a seamless experience where nothing gets lost or nothing gets lost in translation. And the technology enables that with a zero latency, with a high capacity, enables those seamless experiences. 5G enables tailored experiences. And I think tailored here is, again, to bring it into the context of the evolution. I think we already expect that whatever service I engage with has a memory about what I have done previously, what I have purchased, what I have consumed, who I have engaged with. But this needs to go a step further. This needs to also anticipate my kind of needs, given on the context that I'm in, to really enable and deliver me relevant experiences. And again, because the technology has the ability to instantaneously locate your preferences wherever you are, and thereby also deliver those very tailored experiences. The audiences also expect connected experiences. Audiences also expect connected experiences. And by connected experiences, we mean like that there's no disconnection or there's no offline experience, that essentially I always have access to the whole wealth of information and products and services that I can get when I'm connected. So all around, what it also means, and I think this is important to keep in mind, so far I've talked mostly about the evolution and building on top of the things that we already expect. And I think we can see how this in the context of, for instance, Netflix, a continuous TV experience or movie consumption experience, or in the context of Amazon, a continuous purchase experience, or wayfinding. These are all services that we already know, and this is going to improve it and perfectionize it in many ways. But 5G will also enable new content formats and new services and products altogether that couldn't exist right now because of the limitation of the technology. And these are that we can create truly immersive experiences, because 5G can enable, or is in many ways, a technology optimized for AR and VR types of experiences, so augmented reality, virtual reality, or as I like to call it, mixed reality. So you can essentially create, overlay different layers of information, or sort of allow the user to explore different aspects of the experience and make it extremely immersive. And I think just as a footnote, the immersiveness here means that you can firstly, I think today, to a large degree, these were pre-canned or sort of pre-formulated immersive experiences. With 5G, that can be altered and changed to a context-specific experience. So, for instance, when you go into an airport, you can already now, to some degree, with available technology, create a generic experience or generic AR, VR experience for everybody, because you can pre-can it. But with 5G, you can change it, because you have the ability to change the data, so to speak, on the go. And that allows you to create very customized offers. So for instance, when you have kids going into an airport, you can gamify it, you can use Walt Disney content to create a very customized environment. Whereas if there's a businessman going in, you can create sort of a more informational, newsy type of experiences. So it can be extremely immersive. The experience can be highly interactive. You can engage with other people in the space in real time. So that obviously, as this example shows, works for games really well. But if you think about this in the context of retail, when you can essentially explore and investigate any goods that you see in a retail environment and see what other versions of the goods or how you can customize it, again, this sort of creates new formats of experiences that do not exist at this point. The other part of sort of new experiences that 5G is going to unlock is connected experiences. And as we are entering the era of autonomous cars and sort of mobility taken to its next level, connected experiences, mobile connected experiences are extremely important, enabled hidden in terms of what kind of data your car has access to, or whether it's something that you essentially want to have your office on the go with all the available information with you at any given moment in time. So as 5G is going to sort of unlock new content formats, it is also a new way to deliver content. And by new way of delivering content, it really goes hand in hand what I just talked about with content formats. So these new content formats also enable new channels or new ways to communicate with your customers. So this is a two-way mechanism. This is in many ways how you as a brand can communicate with your customers, but also it's about how your customers can communicate with you. So, and that's a quite rich format that this can take on. As you know, right now, we all know the experience of chatbots, which is very much text-based. It's very much like a very sort of, in many ways, limited set of vocabulary that is at your disposal to communicate with your customers. With 5G, you can use images, you can use video, it can be in real time, it can be rich in data. So those are all, I think, going to unlock, will become in itself a new channel to communicate with your customer in any location. As new content formats are going to evolve, we're also going to see new platforms. And these are new platforms which need to deliver and enable these new experiences. So again, this is not going to be text-based, this is not going to be, so to speak, work, but in any form and shape, this will be very enticing for the customers to invite them in and create a participatory experience. So because 5G is, in a sense, a technology that powers any device, it will unlock new audiences for that new kind of content and for the new ways to engage with that content. And these new audiences are not only the young, the novices, the technology-savvy ones. They go across the entire spectrum. And I think actually that is the biggest opportunity, because the technology enables you to water the technology down to the degree that it actually becomes invisible. So instead of words, you can use videos. Instead of using static elements, you can do things in motion. So it can be quite explanatory and quite intuitive and easy to engage with any form of content, because you're not limited anymore by connectivity or latencies or speed of connection. So the only limitation you really have is your creativity to enable those kind of experiences. So what are these experiences more specifically that 5G is going to create? So 5G is essentially, or the real opportunity for 5G is to create a destination for contextual, interactive, and immersive experiences. And I think if we just step back and look at what that could mean, you can see how that can be relevant for any brand and any business. Whether you are in media, you can create richer, more engaging, more continuous and seamless experiences. If you're in retail, you can essentially take the retail experience anywhere, anytime. You can create hybrid models between physical and digital. Whether you are in gaming, you can unlock a new gaming format. Or if you're in the pharmaceutical or in the medical industry, you can essentially provide new kinds of help experiences or bring essentially the necessary service to wherever it's needed. So it's relevant for anybody, but I think it's important, and that always goes hand in hand. The more degrees of freedom one has, the more challenging it becomes to know what to do exactly. So we at W12 sort of think about a structure or sort of use a very simple framework to think about how you can make sense of 5G for your business. Now we look at it through these three lenses: offer, brand, and technology. So when we think about offer, is really what 5G, what you need to do is expand your offer in line what it is that you do, that you provide, the services, the content, as well as what 5G enables. And the 5G specific things that enables, it can be site specific. So again, if you're a media company, you can locate the key actors of any sort of any program or show or movie in the site. Or again, if you are in retail, you can have a virtual assistant guiding you through a retail experience, a personal assistant, a concierge service, so to speak. Or again, if you're in a medical service, you can provide first aid on the spot through this experience. You can create, or you should create, multi-dimensional experiences. By multi-dimensional, I mean there's a physical environment you're in, and then with AR and VR and MR, you can overlay different types of information and different types of imagery and text over the actual experience. So you want to take advantage of this multidimensional, be highly sort of strategic, obviously, about what kind of information you want to overlay, but you should take advantage of the fact that you can and have the opportunity to create those kind of experiences. And you want to be interactive so that the content is not static, doesn't appear like your customer are just listening or just being sort of taken for granted, but you want to engage them and you want to sort of figure out a way to bring them front and center. So if that's what it means for your offer, what it means for your brand is you need to enrich your brand vocabulary. Most brand guidelines are sort of focused on print campaigns, maybe to some extent digital. So you have the graphic language, you may have a motion language, you may have a sonic language. But I think obviously now with 5G, you have to create very, very rich, very immersive experiences. And it's quite important that as a brand, as a business, you can firstly deliver consistent experiences across the various touch points, but that consistency is really driven by your brand DNA. And for that, you really want to expand your brand vocabulary to be in line with what your core principles are. So the specific things that you want to be mindful of, that your brand needs to be relevant in real time and needs to be contextual. So you can also be in line with what actually your business is. You also want to set up your brand so you can have a partnership model in place, because the reality is that as your customer is on the move and as you sort of cater up real-time experiences, or to use the sort of conventional framework, the right offer at the right time to the right person, is that they are in the context of many other brands, and many of the services you deliver will again be in the context of other brands. So if you have the ability to create partnership models or have a system in place that you essentially can have your brand stand next to another brand without necessarily competing or without being awkward, I think you set yourself up for success in a very rich environment where this technology will be essentially at most value. And then last but not least, for your brand, you really want to ensure that you can create holistic experiences. By holistic, it goes back what I talked earlier about sort of what we emphasize at W12 is to create iconic experiences. But the reason why you want to have iconic experiences is because the experiences nowadays are fragmented across the entire service journeys, across many platforms, across many screen sizes. And you want to find a way to tie them back together and create one experience that's holistic. So that's the offer and brand. I think what I want to emphasize in terms of technology here is how to make the technology accessible. So none of your customers need an instruction manual how to access your experience, but it becomes easy, it becomes intuitive to use, and it's based on kind of learned behaviors that are unique to your brand. And we always think sort of the way that sort of all ties together is essentially through the experience language, where which is essentially, I mean, it literally is what it is. It's your language, that how you talk to your customer. And it needs to be like any language, quite organic. It needs to be constantly updated, and it needs to ensure that it follows the right set of rules as it gets updated. And it always needs to be comprehensible to everybody who you want to converse with. So similar, you as a brand, if you want to reach your audiences, you need to find the right vocabulary to reach them, whether it's in store, online, on the phone, or on the street via a 5G-enabled AR experience. And I think the complexity obviously grows. That's why it is even more important that you have a very rich experience language in place that allows you to be consistent. So I think in a nutshell, that sort of brings some of what I wanted to say about making meaning of 5G to a conclusion. Before I show a short video that shows some of the experiences, I just want to highlight one thing. I think we live in an era where customer experience in many ways outweighs the importance of price or the actual product experience. There are lots of studies that sort of suggest that. But I think what that really means is that things like convenience, things like tone of voice, things like 24/7 access, things like knowing your customer, having consistent conversations, having continuous conversations, all those things matter. And 5G will be a key catalyst to enable to provide better customer service and better customer experience. So I think if you want to future-proof your business, if you want to sort of make sure that your brand scales with the technology, it's very important to leverage to understand what 5G does. So I think sort of this short video showcases what it means, for instance, for reality gaming and other aspects. And I think the key with 5G is it's an evolution. This is not necessarily experience. Like, for instance, the gaming part. There are many examples how it already exists. But it can't. It's limited to one particular location. And this takes it on the go. Autonomous driving exists. You know, all these things in many ways exist, but the technology requires it to be quite pre-organized, and I think 5G can allows you to make it dynamic and make it site-specific. So that concludes my talk. I would like to thank you very much for your time. You have the opportunity to ask questions via the chat module. And I look forward to receiving those questions and answering them. And I hope you found this helpful. Thank you very much. Many thanks for listening to the podcast. I will now take questions. So the first question I have is, how will 5G change or fuel the marketing and advertising landscape? I think the answer to that is, as I was indicating in my talk, that 5G allows the opportunity to do contextually relevant campaigns. So I think this is something quite new and unique, to be able to customize an offer to the customer in real time, in context, which is not pre-canned, which is not one-to-many, but it's very specific to one individual. So the way you can think how this might change the advertising and marketing landscape in any retail or shopping environment, for instance, you can imagine how a billboard or how a messaging framework can be altered or can be changed, or you can deliver very targeted messaging to the customer through AR, through VR, through a number of different mechanisms. So I think the ability to do something in real time, contextually relevant, is something that is really completely new to the digital landscape, to the marketing and advertising landscape. And I think we will see some completely new marketing and advertising formats evolve as different companies are going to see an opportunity to take advantage of this particular channel. So the other question I'm having here is, from the customer perspective, how will 5G improve the experience with a brand? Clearly, the ability to sort of create new content formats and deliver content in a new way to the customer can create or does create the opportunity to improve whatever the customer would be experiencing at that given point in time. And I think it's mostly about improving the way they use their time. So whether it's on the go or whether it's in a scenario where they're waiting or other forms or other ways that they may want to connect to anything outside that particular context. So, and this moment, and any brand that can sort of find a way to connect to the customer at that point in time, and connect and provide either a meaningful message or a meaningful product and services, clearly elevates the brand to provide a value-added service. And I was talking earlier in my presentation how customer experience will become one of the key brand differentiators moving forward. And again, 5G here provides the opportunity to create quite unique customer experiences and quite unique ways to connect with your customers. So I think that is quite important to find a way to improve the experience with the brand. Okay, so another question I have here is, can you please share some example where any banking clients are using 5G? I think at this moment in time, 5G is just an emerging platform. So I think we don't necessarily have banking clients that are currently are really taking advantage of 5G specifically. But if you look at sort of a lot of the key features and functionality that emerge in the financial services industry to connect with your customer and provide questions and answers in real time through either some sort of chatbot mechanism or through a virtual assistant. Obviously, 5G allows the ability to improve that experience significantly, to either provide very specific contextually relevant experiences and a much improved, a much richer chatbot functionality. And again, I think the particular unique characteristics of this technology, namely no latency, provides additional meaningful mechanism to do this. But I think, when we see a lot of these emerging banks, like for instance in the UK, Monzo, one of the key brand differentiator is they usually, literally instantaneously, any financial transaction of any sort shows up on your mobile device without any delay. And that is just about sort of withdrawing or adding money to the account. But obviously there's a whole lot more you may want to do around the financial services app to provide value-added services. And 5G enables you to do that in a much richer way. Okay, another question I have here is, what challenges will enterprises face in terms of 5G adoption? I think there are a few challenges, actually. I mean, apart from the technological challenges, I think the key challenge that a lot of enterprises will probably face is to exactly figure out what is it that they should be doing to really leverage the technology. What are the critical features and functionality that really matter to their customers in the specific context? And I think the fewer things you do, the better it is. Not only because then you're actually not going to get lost in the complexity of implementing it, but also you want to make sure that you create a few relevant experiences for the customers so that they do remember those, not other ones. Okay, so maybe this will be the last question I can take, which is, can you talk more about the future of 5G and what it means for richer content for brands and customers? I think the future of 5G is those contextually relevant experiences. And it is essentially by creating richer content formats, creating a platform for AR and VR experiences, and figuring out what role your brand should play in that. And that's really where the future lies. The more they figure out, the more we'll evolve and change the landscape. So I'm sorry, the time is up. This was rather quick and rushed, and I had to just scratch the surface of the questions. But I wanted to make sure I have covered as many as possible. But I hope this provided some good insights. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.